Imagine you're in high school again, and you have the rich kids. The rich kids that look down upon you with disapproval, disgust, and disdain. They do not like you. They do not like the hobbies that you're playing. They think that because you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and video games, you're like a child and you need to grow up. You're never going to mature if you play the video games. And they say that as they take their lovely little girlfriends all the way to expensive parties and places you're never going to be invited. But in this classroom, you have this guy, Mark Hamill. And he is a really nice dude. Like, he talks with everyone. He's really good friends with everyone there. He plays Dungeons and Dragons with you. Whenever you need help with the homework, he's there to help. And after many years, you still remember this guy, Mark Hamill, that you used to go to high school with, and he was part of those formative years as a young man. Now, 30 years later, you have a high school reunion. And all the things that you like to do when you are in high school, like play Dungeons and Dragons and video games, are quite profitable now. In fact, the rich kids are now also getting it into the video game industry to make money. They're purchasing stocks, they're part of the industry. And they're shaming you. They're shaming you because when you are in school, you didn't allow girls to play with you. And they want to make the industry more inclusive, to be for a wider audience. Even though when you were in school, they were the same popular kids that would shame you for playing these games and not growing up. Now they're accusing you for not being more inclusive and allowing other people to play with you, even though you always wanted other people to play with you. It was just that the popular kids were the gatekeepers. But anyway, right? So you have this high school reunion, and at this reunion is the rich kids that go to Mark Hamill and say, "Hey, let's play Dungeons and Dragons together like the good old times. Let's have it a Star Wars theme, and we're going to pay you, Mark. We're going to pay you so you can play and you can put this show and entertain everyone." And as you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, they get the rich kids to be the GMs, and they make Mark Hamill. It's like, get on your fours and bark like a dog bigot. Now howl at the moon, you know? And you're watching this, like, why is this happening? Why are they humiliating this guy that you grew up with? And at one point, one of the rich kids gets a jar of green pickles and throws them in his face. And it's like, ha ha ha, look how funny it is. Now bark, Mark. Bark for the audience. Bark for all of us. Ha 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 ha. And when someone from the group gets up and says, "Hey, stop it, this is not okay," the rich kids will go like, "Ah ha ha, you don't like Dungeons and Dragons? Oh, what are you, some kind of a misogynist, some kind of a bigot? Ah ha ha ha, no, you watch and you enjoy. Ha ha ha, because this is the new. You need to bury the old and allow the new to grow." Oh my god. So yeah, no, this is pretty much how most people that used to be part of the old Star Wars fans view the current community. The current community, by the way, which I understand, like, the old were toxic, like people like me that used to like the previous trilogy, we are toxic. But if you go on a forum now, and they are not that many on the internet, but there are a couple. And if you go to a Facebook group and you say anything negative about Rey, you will be met with a deluge of toxicity like you have never seen before. Like the new Star Wars quote-unquote fans that do not seem to purchase toys, do not seem to go to the Star Wars theme parks, but they do have a lot of time to spend on the internet to thought police how people should view the brilliant new trilogy. They are some of the most toxic people that you have ever met. They will insult, they will harass, they will hound you. I know cases where some people had the fans call their workplace, you know, because they had some disparaging opinions about Star Wars. And they were like, "Oh, well, let's call his boss, see if we can get him fired because we pruned his Twitter and we found this and that tweet." Just abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent. So it's no surprise that Mark Hamill is done playing Luke Skywalker. To me, it doesn't come as a shock. I mean, the writings were on the wall. You saw Mark Hamill at different interviews being really upset by the way his character was treated. And again, most of these actors, they it's not like they become the role, but it's nice, when you go on the street and people recognize you and they're happy to see you. But if you play in a bad movie and you ruin that role, then that gets taken away, and most people are going to say, "Oh, so you're a sellout now? You're a sellout. You did it for money. You ruined the franchise that I grew up with for money." It would be very interesting to see if Mark Hamill would change his mind if George Lucas would be at the helm of Star Wars again. I would definitely be curious, because maybe, but I guess the only sad thing is that what's done is done. The new trilogy is canon. They can never erase that. I mean, sure, maybe they can make, all right, let's make episode 9 as if the previous trilogy didn't happen, like they did with Ghostbusters. It's like, okay, female Ghostbusters just didn't happen. And you see the actress is reeing. It's like, well, if you didn't want to ree, maybe you should have made the movie that gets butts in seats. But yeah, so that would be one thing. But they can never bring Leia back. Leia is just gone. Han Solo also said that he's not going to play Han Solo anymore, as I remember correctly, unless they kill him off. So I don't think he's going to play either. So yeah. Apparently, in the spirit of May the 4th Star Wars holiday, Mark Hamill has released a daily tweet commenting on different aspects of our beloved franchise. Hamill did something similar last year, and he plans out a tweet for each day of the month of May. Prior to the early 2010, the icon actor said that time and time again that he never expected to step into Luke Skywalker's shoes again. But a typical launch meeting with George Lucas changed everything. The sequel trilogy and Skywalker story are finished for now, as The Rise of Skywalker is out in the world, and Hamill took to Twitter to spend a moment sharing his thoughts on the finale of the saga. So we have the tweet with, "May the 9th be a bittersweet episode, knowing it was the last time I would ever play Luke Skywalker." So what this means is that Mark Hamill has been nothing but generous, forthcoming, and inclusive to Star Wars fans from day one. He spent countless of hours meeting fans at conventions, taking pictures, and signing autographs on the street, and promoting a franchise that for a long time he had been done with. Hamill's displeasure with the direction that the role given to Luke Skywalker in the sequel of the films is old news, but despite his misgivings, he's still been incredibly kind to the fans. And this is very important. I know Mark Hamill's politics, they're in line with the rest of the Hollywood conglomerate, and he does tweet ridiculous things every now and then, but when it was about the fans, the people that put food on his table, because you always need to remember this, when it's an actor or when it's someone that is an entertainer, his fans are the people that put food on his table. And not all actors are like this. Like, there are actors that they really don't want to engage with the fans. It's like, the fans. It's like there's some necessary evil. Mark Hamill is not one of those people. Like, from what I understand, if you see him on the street and you ask for an autograph, he will give it to you. It's just as bittersweet knowing that he won't be seeing Luke again on the big screen, at least with Hamill's performing the character, and regardless of our personal opinions on the story, we all know he gave it all and was dedicated to giving us the performance he could. We are all eternally grateful for Mark Hamill has given to Star Wars and cherish his work as Luke Skywalker for him. Yeah, from what I understand, what happened at Star Wars is this. People noticed that with the new Star Trek, the old toys are still selling, but the new toys aren't. So they said, all right, let's just wipe the old and not confuse the customer, so there's just only one brand of toys, ours. And they tried this with Star Wars. They tried to pretty much destroy the old, like destroy the old trilogy, bring in a new audience, a younger audience that's very progressive and much more open-minded, and they had to kill off all the old characters so that they can sell the new toys. It's also what the new park, the new Star Wars park is supposed to be. That's why you only find things from the new episodes in the new park, and you don't find a lot of things from the old episodes. Like, Kathleen Kennedy definitely went with this idea that she can just bring a new younger audience and get rid of the old audience, because the old audience is dying. It's like people in their 40s and their 50s. They're going to die anyway. They don't purchase toys. They don't purchase action figures. So, like all the progressive nonsense and virtue signaling is just that. It was just a business decision that she went with, and turns out didn't work out for her. Who would have thought? Yeah, it's like that episode in South Park, oh, we got a lot of hippies here. It's like, well, hippies don't have money. It's like, anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the comment section.